All right, moving on. We've got a great rest of the day planned for you. Fun things and interesting sessions. Let's go ahead and get started with a panel discussion. We are so excited to have our Pathways Chair, who's also our DLC Chair this year, who's also a past district director. How many times DTM? Like 5, 6 times? She just got her 6th. Can you believe this? She just got her 6th DTM. Please welcome and congratulate Distinguished Toastmaster Becky McGilton.
Thank you, Madam District Director. Hello to our District 84 Executive Committee. Pathways, pathways, pathways. It is our Toastmasters education program. We are 4+ years into our Pathways journey, and we should be farther along in the process than we are. I was asked by the trio to come visit the deck today and do a panel discussion. So perhaps you can all pick up on some tips, ideas, or suggestions that you can take back and share with your clubs so we can move our pathways in the right direction. I do have 4 panelists that will be supporting this discussion today. They were selected based on their club pathways enrollment. All of the clubs have 90% or better enrollment. And the second factor was pathways engagement. I consider engagement the number of education awards that the club is submitting, which means they're not only using pathways, but they're using pathways. So the 4 clubs that are represented, the 4 panelists represent clubs that are doing very well. I'll start by introducing our panelists and then we'll get into the discussion. Distinguished Toastmaster Marjane Taylor has been a member of Toastmasters since November 2010. She served as an area governor in 2014-2015 and as the District 84 administration manager in 2020-2021. She has served in all 7 club officer roles and is currently a member of 3 clubs. Her most recent role is the VP of Education for Find Your Funny Toastmasters, a fully online advanced specialty club. Sue, would you do me a favor when either when they're speaking or when I'm introducing them, would you pin them, please?
Who's going to go ahead and pin everybody as a group?
Okay, thank you. Second panelist is Dynamic Leadership Level 5, John Costa, who works at the intersection of technology, digital media, and online learning. Seems like he's going to be a really good fit for this panel. He is proud to guide clients from startup size to multi-billion-dollar corporations through their transition from paper to digital learning, training, publishing, marketing, sales, and advertising. He leapt at the opportunity to serve as the Vice President of Education in the Lake Mary Toastmasters Club during the transition to Pathways. Then COVID hit. Lake Mary easily transitioned online and back to hybrid when permitted. He is currently serving as the president of Lake Mary Club. Motivational Strategies Level 4, Jan Thomas, has been in Toastmasters since 1988. In that time, she has seen many changes which have enabled her to approach speaking assignments from a deeper perspective. She has served multiple times as club president, vice president, education, and sergeant at arms. Jan also served as an area governor in St. Petersburg in 91-92. This is where she learned her delegation and achieving goals skills. She is currently serving as the vice president of education for Beachsiders Club. Our 4th panelist, Distinguished Toastmaster Robin Collins, has been a member of Toastmasters for more than 16 years. Her first club gave her a good foundation because the members were always expected to present manual speeches. She transitioned fairly smoothly to Pathways. These days, Robin is a dual member of We Can Speak Potamus Hablar Toastmasters Club, her home club since 2012, and was recently elected president of Transformation Toastmasters. She is looking forward to this Pathways panel discussion. So those are our panelists today. I have some questions, and the questions were provided to our panelists in advance, so they would have a heads up on the type of information that we're looking to gather out of this activity. My first question, we all know that we have members out there that are resistant to Pathways. They just don't want to get engaged. So my first question, and I'm going to ask this of John, how do you engage those members who are resistant to Pathways?
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that in their clubs. This dates back now to the very beginning when I took on that role of VPE just for this purpose. That was a transition period between the books, and everyone loves the books. What I ended up having to do is hold some special sessions with folks to introduce Pathways and to really kind of carve out the navigation through that system to make it feel easy for everybody, and then compare it to the book and show people, the information was always going to be in there, and how to get to it. It's still troublesome. So we've created some extra guides and videos for people to help them navigate into Pathways. But really the resistance is the confusion. That's what I find. So it's the cornerstone system that Pathways is built on has got a lot of layers to it. You have to burrow down through menus and go to this menu and click into it and go to another menu, click into that. That had to be made easy for people. They really had to not even think about it when they were doing it, because before you could open your book and there you are, there's your lesson. You read it and you go and you give your speech. And now you've got to kind of meander through electronics. So I would say the three things that are most important in my mind for engaging those that are resistant to it is make it seem easy and make it feel easy. You're going to have to do training sessions. You're going to have to do coaching. Mentors should be pretty comfortable with Pathways so that they can step their new members through it. But the older members, honestly, are the most resistant because they know what it used to be like with the books. And the navigation is confusing. So get rid of that confusion and make it feel simple, and people will come on board. That's my experience.
Thank you, John, for that input. Because this is such an important factor, I want to actually ask the same question of Marjane, because she may have a different perspective and have something different to offer. So Marjane, same question to you. How do we engage those members who are resistant to Pathways?
Well, like John, I think that what I'm finding is that most of the resistance comes from people who are not sure how to use Pathways. And I think that mentoring is a big part of overcoming this. Sometimes just taking the next step with that person is enough. I mean, I have gotten on Zoom with new members before and just said, all right, here's where you click. Just share screen and walk them through it, because, if you can do that in person, but a lot of times it's just easier online. And so, yeah, I think just avoiding the confusion, anything you can do to minimize the confusion. In the beginning, we did have some special, we do educational moments in one of my clubs, and a lot of those were regarding Pathways. I think we probably need to go back to doing some of those again. But yeah, just eliminate the confusion and help them walk through it with them if they don't know where to click and what to do next.
Okay, thank you for that, Marjane. I would like to insert a little something from my perspective here. One way that I have found very helpful in engaging those people that are resistant is to ask them to be mentors for your new members, because how can they mentor if they don't know what they're doing? It encourages them to get out there and work the Pathways program. All right, my next question is going to go to, I'll start with Jan. How do you ensure that new members get engaged right from the beginning?
When we get a new member in, I always go to them and I say, this is what we're going to do. I use the agenda program, and it works out really well because I bring the sheet to Easy Speak. I bring it to the meeting, and everybody signs up from the printout on the screen. And once you become, as soon as you become a member of our club, you are in Easy Speak. And I send at least 2 emails out a week on the agenda, where we are, who's signed up, what other roles there are to sign up with, and speakers as well. People see that I have, most meetings, I have 2 speakers. Sometimes I only have 1. 2 is our maximum. And they see other people doing that and making progress. The nice thing about the Easy Speak program is that you can just go into Easy Speak and see what your requirements are for the path that you've chosen. You don't have to go into the Toastmasters program per se right away. So you can say, this is the program, this is the speech I want to give this week. Then you can go into Toastmasters and to Pathways and to find the requirements for that speech. So it's a little less confusing to start out with, but I always make sure if there's someone who is not giving speeches, I personally go to them and I say, how can I help you to get started? This is where you are right now. This is what you need to do. Oh, that project will work well for the next speech. And I just kind of, I'm there holding their hand if I need to. If they're having problems getting into Toastmasters and into Pathways, then we'll sit down. There we have several people who go ahead and hold hands and go through screens and make sure that the people who are confused, and they're always the same people that are confused, that they get through to their next speech. And we want to make sure, we pride ourselves on that. We are President's Distinguished every year. So we get them involved with working towards that club goal.
All right, thank you, Jan. I think that this is such an important question that I'm actually going to ask Robin to give her perspective on the same question. How do you ensure that new members get engaged right from the beginning?
I would say talking about Pathways at every meeting also helps them to feel that they're not alone. And certainly, similar to what Jan mentioned, having an agenda that talks about what we're going to have in the meeting so that they have a heads up. Maybe they can listen to another person's icebreaker speech. In our case, our particular club talks a lot about Pathways. We assign mentors, and if someone has a problem, I always tell people that it's not just your mentor that can probably answer your question. It's any veteran member in the club. So reach out to somebody. I'm kind of compulsive about making sure that I reach out to new members individually and make sure that they've got my direct email address and encourage them to ask any questions.
All right.
So just basically emotional and hopefully educational support.
All right, thank you, Robin. So from both of those perspectives, to me, the key thing is that connection. Make the connection with that new member and get that new member really engaged with the Pathways program right from the beginning. All right, my next question, I often get asked this question at my sessions that I hold twice a month. And I will give you a reminder of those at the end. But for now, this question comes up a lot. How can I use this in real life? And so my question, I'm going to start with John because I think John probably has a very good answer for this one. How do you demonstrate the tie-in between pathways and real life?
Thank you. This is an exciting question for me. I'll tell you two stories that it kind of came and fell onto my lap. Being in business, I travel in circles with lots of entrepreneurs, business startups, and things. And I also serve on a number of international training committees. And so there were two things that occurred this past year that was a direct tie into real life. One group, this woman is chairing a committee that is trying to bring Taiwanese entrepreneurs, because that's where she was born. So she's working with them and trying to help them get venture capital. So we had a set of meetings with experts, I guess, or venture capitalists from Disney, old executives from Walt Disney, old executives from IBM were on this thing. Every one of them were trying to coach these young kids in how to do their presentation to get venture capital. It was a coaching session, and they all mentioned everything that we do in Toastmasters. They mentioned watching for your ums and ahs, really paying attention to the time clock, crutch words and things like that, avoiding those things. So it was perfect. And I set up a series of sessions with her where I used Toastmasters criterion to judge and evaluate their presentations to help them. And then on comes, I think it was called Toast Tank. And that popped into my mailbox. And I'm like, this is great. This is exactly what I'm doing. And that was supposed to do that venture capital kind of coaching, but it's a direct tie-in to what people are doing in their business lives. And I will brag a little bit that our club had 4 members this past year get jobs, and they attributed it to their speaking skills that they've gained through Toastmasters, through being in the club. One woman got an international job with Google. Another one's working for a game developer down in Brazil. And it was all from doing online presentations and just presence in speaking and presenting themselves. So that's my tie-in. I think it's tied totally to your daily life.
Thank you, John, for that. I too find that people get it into their minds that everything has to be about Toastmasters. But if you're a project manager at work, take a project that you do at work and turn it into a Toastmasters speech project. All you got to do is get somebody to come evaluate you. And if you can't record it, and give the recording to somebody to watch to do the evaluation. Never, ever do those types of things without taking credit. That's what's going to help promote it in real life, is when we set the examples along those lines. My next question is going to go to Robin, and this question revolves around anything that we do. We have to, if we want to see how effective it is, we have to track it. So, Robin, have you come up with a method that helps you to easily track member progress in Pathways?
I wish the answer was yes, but Pathways does not seem to offer good metrics that are easily found in our experience. What I will say is that by using the DCP program and looking at who needs to complete a certain level by a certain time, we can still go back and look at where a member's level progress is. But as far as, at least unless there's some trick I haven't heard of, maybe I need to come to those presentations, Becky. I haven't found an easy place to track the path progress of an individual person in a manner that I can decipher.
All right, Robin, that's good. I personally haven't discovered the easy method either, because I don't think the reports, they're accurate, but I feel sorry for those people that I am a member of their clubs. And I'm in 7 because when you look at the report, there's like Rebecca McGilton, this, and what's there, what's not, you know, they're very, very cumbersome, but they're accurate. You just have to do a lot of, I'm a spreadsheet queen. First thing I do, I download them to Excel. I can filter myself out, then I can work. All right. And we're going to save questions and answers to the end. So at this point in time, we're just speaking with our panelists. Our next question is going to go to Marjane. Systems are always changing, including pathways. What is it that you do to stay on top of the changes to pathways?
Oh, I'm not sure if I do, but I'm a voracious reader. So I read all the things that come out, whether it's from TI or the district or the Toastmasters magazine. And usually you're going to pick up on those, any changes. But I also did find out that if you go to the Toastmasters International website, click on education programs and then scroll all the way to the bottom, under more education, there is a link that you can click on for pathways updates. So if you are not a voracious reader and just want to get directly to it, that's probably the fastest way.
Okay, thank you, Marjane. Yes, that is there. And I'm in pathways all the time. So I usually, oh, hey, that's different. And I make note of it. And usually I bring it up at my next session so that everybody, well, at least everybody that attends the session is aware of the changes. Okay, Jan, this question will be for you. We have the Pathways Mentoring Path. Does your club actively engage the members in completing that path once they're eligible for it? And if so, do you find that helps the club with their mentoring program success?
We haven't used that yet. Matter of fact, I know you gave us this question and I went and I looked it up. I am enrolled in it and I intend to use it. I just needed to know what it was. It was not something that I was really aware of. So no, as far as using that program, but now that I'm aware of it, I can use it for people who are moving along the path. We probably don't use that path, but we do the process.
Okay, thank you, Jan. For my other 3 panelists, are any of you actually using that as part of your mentoring program?
We've been encouraging people to check it out and use it, but I'm not sure more than 1 or 2 people have used it actively.
Okay, so that's an option. I mean, that's like you get twofold from that. You're going to get your people engaged in pathways. You're also going to help your mentoring program for your club. It's a 2-project module. It's free. It's the only other one you're ever going to get free from Toastmasters. Take advantage of it and work through it. It can definitely help develop mentoring programs in your club. All right, my next question is going to go back to John. Meeting agendas. We love them and sometimes we hate them because try as hard as we might to have everything ready before the meeting starts, you have last minute changes. So John, do you have a process in place to cover when the speaker doesn't come prepared with an evaluation resource?
Oh. If they don't show up with an evaluation resource, what I found is a lot of those evaluation forms are almost identical except for the top title. So we've got some extras that we can use. Other than that, we have a form that we hand out and for everyone's evaluations. And as a last resort, they just use that form. So I would say 3 things. One is, I guess the evaluation forms are available online. We've got access to them, and we've told our members, because we are hybrid, that they can use those PDFs and print them out if they'd like to. One of our rules for somebody presenting is to print that out, and that's part of our mentoring and onboarding of them to show them how to do that. But if they don't show up with it, we've got spares that you just write in the title and the path number and stuff at the top, or we've got our general evaluation forms as a last resort.
Okay. There is a generic or general evaluation resource, which is suitable for any speech project. Obviously, it won't have the specific details related, but you can usually use that to cover. And it is available out there. And I can't remember if it's general or generic, but it's generic resource and it's out there available. So print copies of that and have that on hand for those that still print paper. I myself, I like to just do it online and email it away. I try to save as many trees as I can. All right, my next question, I actually had this down for Robin to answer, but she touched bases on this already. So I'm actually going to ask this question of Marjane. So do you have pathways training? We all understand the importance of training. Do you have that as part of your new member orientation?
Well, I would say it probably varies a little bit. I do try to touch base with, let me just say, the clubs that I belong to are very different. So my home club, yes, I would touch base with a new member because they are truly new members. And, you know, just depending on how tech savvy they are, is probably depending on how much time I'll spend with them. Now, the other club, Find Your Funny Club, everyone there are members of other clubs and more advanced. So I don't typically need to do that with them because they typically learn those things in their home clubs. So I would say it varies a lot by person. But yeah, just make sure that your people are able to function with it.
Okay. All right. So my next question, this will go to you, Robin. Believe it or not, Toastmasters International does listen. And they do that with the feedback that they get from the members. Every speech project that you do, you have 10 days after you complete it to provide some sort of feedback. Do you encourage your members to use that as a tool to help provide feedback to Toastmasters International to help them to continually improve the program?
I will now.
Good answer.
I've been doing it myself ever since Pathways began, but I haven't really considered making that part of maybe an educational moment and reminding people that that's a great opportunity, especially if you were confused by the project's goals. Thank you very much, Becky. I appreciate that input.
Well, the reason I say I know that they listen is look at the changes that they made to level 1. There were so many original, I don't want to call them complaints, but complaints that level 1 didn't teach enough of the basics to our newer members. So level 1 has been reformatted. You now have your icebreaker. You get to write a speech with a purpose. You get to do one on body language and vocal variety before you get into the evaluation and feedback. So it's more, they brought in some of those elements from the CC manual. So they listened, trust me, they listened. So I encourage you to use those surveys every time you get them. All right, and my last question, I don't know how I'm doing on time, but we do want time for Q&A at the end anyway. I'm going to put this one to Jan. How do you help those members along who seem to get stuck?
I have a member who wants to give a speech every week, but does not want to have to go through the pathways process to do it. And we always, all the time, we're back and forth. Because I use Easy Speak, I can go through and see where he's at and assign him a title, a subject that fits for the speech that he's doing. And we wind up going backwards. And then I said, if you want to get credit for these, you have got to go into Pathways. You have got to post everything. So there are the people that you have to hold their hand and you have to do it. And it's always gratifying to them when they get their credit. They go, oh, I've got credit for it now. So that's a lesson in itself. The people who give speeches on it, I have some people who are very familiar with the Pathways process. They talk to other people about it. They're good handholders and they take them through. So it's a balance. You need to know what each person is capable of doing, and you customize your treatment of each person.
All right. Thank you for that input. That was the 10 questions that I had put together for the panelists. At this time, I would like to go ahead and open up for questions from the audience. If you're online, raise your hand and we will try to keep, maybe Sue can keep track of the hands as they go up. And okay, so 1 second, can I finish here for a second? You can ask the questions of the panelists, or you can direct the questions to me as the moderator. Either way is fine.
Can I direct a comment?
You can.
Let me come on camera. Looking straight at the camera. Okay. I was a Pathway ambassador. Now, please understand this. How old am I?
72.
72. How long have you been a Toastmaster?
72.
35.
Since 1985. I have done Toastmasters by manuals for eons. When Pathways came along, I was as scared as anybody. But as a person that believes in the process of lifelong learning, I refuse to languish in the fact that I was set in my ways. It's a phrase I despise. I believe in enthusiasm. So after we did the rollout, I became a Pathway guide. And I worked in the idea not just of helping people understand pathways, but also to embrace pathways. To date, I've completed 5 paths. Not as much as Becky. And I'm working 4. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that there has to be an enthusiasm level here that says, I don't care that it's totally digital. As a matter of fact, I think it's fantastic because what other device from an educational point of view that offers 300 competencies that you can take with you wherever you go on your tablet, your laptop, and your phone. It is fully portable. Therefore, it is something you can carry with you. Paul Smith's on the train right now trying to join us by way of phone, and he's on a train, a moving train, and connecting with us here online for this deck meeting. Paul is embracing technology. Why in the world people are afraid of Pathways is beyond me. And now since Pathways has made upgrades, and you're right, there's a thing called a master Q&A. The master Q&A has literally hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of questions and problems. Now all of a sudden it is totally down.
I did not.
I'm sorry, Becky. Maybe I'll check the new path updates on others 1 and 2. Have you checked them? Check them.
Yeah.
Look at those changes on them. Those will get you excited. Those will get you jumping at that. Get excited for crying out loud.
So, questions.
Becky, we had one online.
Okay, we'll just get online since we have some in the room. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Kathleen asked a few times people talked about Easy Speak and Free Toast Host. What is it and how can it be used for Pathways?
I would have to defer to Jan for Easy Speak. I can speak to Free Toast Host because that's what I was born into Toastmasters with. I know it inside and out. So I'll talk to that I'll talk to that first and then I'll let Jan talk to Easy Speak. With Free Toast Host, the advantage of that is when you sign up as a speaker on the agenda, you can put your speech details right in the project. It will automatically upload the project description and the evaluation resource. And as long as you remember to hit save details, it will be loaded. You can go into your meeting, and if your evaluator has a device, then they don't have to print the resource. They can just simply click on it, fill it out and email it right back to you. I don't believe Easy Speak has that functionality, but like I said, Jan will have to give that.
Thank you, Becky. I'm not sure Easy Speak has that either. We do a lot of stuff printed out and on paper, but Easy Speak will allow you to do it both ways. I, as an EVP, and I've been EVP many times, have worked with just a paper agenda and emailing people, and that no longer works for me. I have volunteered to be EVP now 3 years in a row because Easy Speak is so easy. I just print out the sign. I establish a meeting date, and you could change the format any way you want to have it done. So each format is titled. So if you want to do a 2-speech meeting, then you go to your 2-speech meeting and your meeting agenda comes out that way. And there's a sheet that has all of the members' names on it. They can say whether they're going to be there, whether they're not going to be there, and what role they want to take. I print that sheet out in advance of the next meeting, and I take it to the current meeting and I say, please sign up. That way it doesn't go to the point where you have to wait for somebody to go into Easy Speak. You have an agenda already partially done, and people will say, oh, okay, that person's going to do that, I'll do this. And your speakers are on there. They have the opportunity to either sign up for what they want right on the sheet, or they can go into Easy Speak and say, all right, what path am I in? What level am I in? What choices do I have? And they type all that in, and it goes right on the agenda. So the agenda will say, so-and-so is speaking from level 2, they're speaking speech number 4, then it speaks about the goals. There's a place for an introduction, and there's a place for a title, and all that goes on the agenda. It's just so easy. And when I am done with the meeting, then I come home, I go into Easy Speak, and I post what actually happened at the meeting, and Easy Speak has a running tally of everything that has happened. So everybody can go in, can look to see where they're at, what speeches they gave, what day they gave them, what day they were Toastmaster, what day they were evaluated for who. It's all there. It's just too easy. Becky.
Sounds like they're both tools, depending on the club's history, whether you use Free Toast or Easy Speak. They're just tools to help you manage your club meetings and be successful at that. Okay, let's see. That was an online question. We're going to take one from the room.
Can I add one more comment to that?
Sure, yes.
The way I position the tools with our club is that you're doing your meeting management with Easy Speak or Free Toast Host. We happen to use Easy Speak. So it's got nothing to do with you reading and studying your lesson and doing your project. That's all done in Toastmasters.org. But in Easy Speak is where you sign up for your role, sign up for a speech, get your information in there. And one thing to keep in mind is you cannot close an Easy Speak meeting out at the end of it without having either pathway project or a book project assigned to that person's speech. So that's another way that we make sure that people are getting their information in there, or they get credit for nothing. They cannot get credit in Easy Speak for having spoken unless it's assigned to a pathway or a book.
Okay. All right. So in the room, thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a club that's trying to decide between Free Toast and Easy Speak, I was the Easy Speak user with my original club 10 years ago. One thing that is nice that I find as a member of multiple clubs is Easy Speak will have a profile for you that has every speech you've done in one dedicated space. That I would say is probably the one benefit from my own experiences using Easy Speak. Outside of that, the two systems are practically interchangeable. You can do both everywhere.
Yeah, you can do a similar report in Free Toast by member and everything that they've done. Okay. All right, so we'll go online. Do we have a question online? Don't everybody raise your hands at once.
I have a question.
Okay.
On the Easy Speak, I'm not sure if it makes a difference, but that's I guess a British product or UK product. Is that make a difference with any privacy laws or any internet stuff? I'm not sure. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I don't know. And that would be something that would require research. And I'd kind of like to keep our questions focused more on pathways, please. Our discussion is not supposed to be easy speak and free toast. So, all right. So in the room, we have Delisa.
So my question is, our club has a few longtime members who come really for social reasons. They are not necessarily there to progress in a career. So they come for the social interaction, the ability to connect with other people. How do I convince them that there's still a buy-in to pathways, even if they're really there for a social reason and not necessarily a goal?
And do you want that aimed at a specific panelist or?
Whoever would like to answer that question.
Do one of the panelists want to take that question? If not, I'm willing. I don't care. Marjane, go ahead.
Give it a try. Well, first of all, I think that, so you're saying that these are more experienced members. And so one of the appeals to many of the experienced members is helping others, right? So they can help their fellow members by learning pathways and by helping them, helping the new members to learn pathways. And as far as, some of them I just want to give a speech. They don't necessarily need to complete a path. Now it does help your club to get those, DCP goals met if they complete paths. But if they want to give a speech, a lot of those speeches in level 3 are speeches that, are projects that could apply to any 5 to 7 minute speech. And I'd also encourage them, if they're not in, the presentation mastery path or the engaging humor path, those are focused more on the speaking part and less on the leadership part. They might enjoy those paths more.
Okay. All right. And I mentioned earlier how I kind of do my encouraging those members, ask them to be mentors for the newer members. And in order to be a successful mentor, they've got to know, and that hasn't worked for all of them, but it has worked for a few. So just try, you just have to keep, I hate saying throwing things at people, but you just have to keep trying different things in order to see what works, because it's not a boilerplate. The same thing is not going to work for every club or for every person. You just have to keep.
I did want to say, I think, going back to tracking the pathways projects, I don't have this and I haven't found this out for sure, but I think when I went to the International Convention in Nashville, I saw a hard copy chart for pathways to track members' progress. So I tried to look, the store is still down on the TI website, but maybe once that's up, we can find a hard copy like we used to have.
There is a PDF book size file for pathways tracking. You can make a sheet for every member. That is available out there. All right, so I see somebody, Kathy Jorgensen, you have your hand up. Question?
Yes. Mentors. Can I ask a question about being a mentor? Is that, are we pathways or can,
this is pathways.
What I'm trying to find out is, how do you convince the new people that we are available to mentor them? That, excuse me, I'm having a real hard time. We don't know if to just say, just assign someone a mentor or what.
And my response to that, every club does it differently. I personally don't like to assign mentors because mentor-mentee relationship is important. It needs to click. I prefer that they pick their own mentors, somebody that they know they can work with. Some clubs do assign mentors. They find out that it doesn't work, so they have to change them anyway. It's a club by club thing, but yes, mentoring can go a long way in helping you with your pathways, engagement, and enrollment both. Okay.
We have a mentorship manager or a VP of mentorship role assigned, and that person knows a lot of the members' backgrounds and experience and things. And they, as part of our onboarding, we assign a mentor to each person. But we do it after interviewing that new member and finding out what their goals and missions are, and then match them up with someone who's got similar experience.
Okay, there's another avenue that you can pursue as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a yellow light. Does that mean I have time for maybe one more question?
I would love for you to repeat. I'd love for you to repeat what you repeated on your district-wide coaching on pathways that everybody can take advantage of. Oh, yes, absolutely. I'll go ahead and mention that now before I run out of time. I offer 2 pathway sessions every month. The second Tuesday at 8 p.m., the third Sunday at 6:30 p.m. The Zoom link and information is on the District 84 calendar. The first session of the month always has 30 minutes of a specific topic that I speak on, I teach on. And then the last 30 minutes is Q&A. The second session is usually all open forum Q&A, unless I have questions that were unanswered or I had a theme in the prior meeting, then I'll do a training on that and then open it up for Q&A after. But there's at least 30 minutes of Q&A at each one of the 2 sessions. Second Tuesday at 8 p.m., third Sunday at 6:30 p.m.